Right now, it's pretty obvious that the entire crypto market is flipping bullish for, again, another time this year. Now, this time, it's a little bit different because instead of everyone being very bullish on Bitcoin or even Ethereum, it's now altcoins. Now, we can't get too far ahead of ourselves and say that we are in phase 3 of the cycle, which a lot of people are saying, which we'll talk about that here shortly. However, it's very exciting to watch the moves happen in the altcoin market the way that they have been over the last couple of days. Now, I know what you guys are probably saying. Well, guess what, Nick? You know, a lot of these altcoins are not up significantly in the last week. You know, we still have a lot of altcoins that are down over the last week. And yes, I understand that. However, there's also a lot of moves happening around the altcoin market that I think that we can appreciate. Like, for example, HBAR being up 13+% on the last week. XLM up 12+% in the last week. Even Ondo up almost 20% in the last week. These are incredible gains. And I know that we're not seeing like these 700+% moves like MYX. However, some of these are fresh launches. So we can't say, oh, well, you know, XRP is only up 10.6% on the week, but why is MYX up 700+%? It's because some of these are fresh launches. They're not as big as XRP. I mean, XRP has over $100+ billion in market cap, so it's a little bit more challenging to move XRP, that percentage, than it is to move something as small as MYX. However, though, this is very good to see because this is generating liquidity. Even if something is up 700+%, we know that that's creating liquidity for the space that will trickle down or into the other altcoin, side of the market, which is like the, larger cap projects or even the mid cap projects. But just taking a quick look at the market itself, I mean, Bitcoin, Ethereum, both up significantly. Bitcoin around 116K, Ethereum still around almost 4,700. The main thing that I'm looking at here isn't so much the moves on Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's more so how altcoins are outshining them. And XRP on the weekly has outshined both Bitcoin and Ethereum. Most altcoins have been putting Bitcoin and Ethereum to shame because of their weekly gains. I mean, I just showed you guys the weekly view up here, but just looking at some of these gains it's just crazy. I mean, even Dogecoin is up almost 35% on the weekly, and just going down the list, you guys can see how crazy these gains have been. Now, if we're thinking about this, let's take a quick look at the market cap of crypto, because for the first time since going all the way back to the end of August, we are now in the green again. We are at 4.07 trillion. Earlier today, we did hit about 4.09 trillion. And just looking at the 1 year, you could see that crypto's bouncing back in a big way off of the recent lows. Now, the recent lows, it was never going to be a significant crash or a pullback. We talked about it briefly all over, the crazy point of the cycle where people start getting shaken out. I was addressing how, if we go back in time and look at the previous cycles, we also had this wipeout moment. I do think that that was exactly what we experienced when Bitcoin lost, 110K. I mean, if we go back to the Bitcoin chart, we wicked down to about 107.4K. Prior to this move happening, I think that we were trading around like 118 or 117K. And I was saying if we lose this level that, we could see 105K being retested on Bitcoin, 105 to 108K. We hit that zone perfectly, and now we're bouncing back. So, we were talking about that briefly, over that time frame of where everyone was kind of panicking. And look at where we're at now. We have bounced back completely. We still have a little bit of, work to do on Bitcoin and on the rest of the market. However, fear and greed back to 52, Altseason index sitting at about 72 out of 100, which is crazy. Looking at fear and greed, again, during that entire time, I was saying, everyone's starting to panic a bit. We're getting back down into these fearful levels. This is a big opportunity for us. And it definitely was. A lot of altcoins have bounced back off of the lows, including, like Ondo, for an example. Ondo is a blue chip. We talked about that. And then beyond that, just the altcoin market itself, you could hand pick out like a ton of altcoins out of the top 100, and most of them are doing very well over just the last couple weeks. I mean, if we're looking at the 90-day return on some of these altcoins, I'm not looking at MYX or M. I'm looking at more so the rest of the market. I mean, OKB, a lot of these are exchange tokens that are up almost 300% in the last 90 days. 262% with Pangu, 170+% with Crow. And just going down the list here, I mean, even some of these projects that are not meme coin related at all, like Link, 80+%. These are not exchange tokens. Like, these are, utility fundamental projects. Even HBAR up 58%, XLM 55%. And I understand that like some of these gains are not that crazy for like a 90-day period. However, this is just another beginning point of the altcoin phase of the market. I still think that we are going to see crazier gains than what we saw back in like the end of 2024 into the beginning of 2025. And I think that we are going to also rally against those 2021 moves as well. But we're still very early on into this altcoin season, if you will. And talking about that, everyone was going crazy all over X today. Altcoin season index surges to 84. Altcoins eclipse Bitcoin. And yes, this was crazy. We have here the altcoin season index has surged to 84, its highest level since December of 2024, confirming alt season as over 75% of the top 50 altcoins outperformed Bitcoin over the past 90 days. Now, does this confirm alt season? Listen, I think that it confirms that we are really getting into the beginning phase of alt season. We're not there just yet. I don't think that we should call it just yet either, because again, we're 20 some hours away from a weekly close, which we'll talk about here in a second, and that's going to be our confirmation. That's going to be our big signal. But here we have the rapid rise from 67 earlier this week is propelled by robust gains in Ethereum and Solana, alongside declining Bitcoin dominance below 59%, while Bitcoin holds near 115K. Key drivers include U.S. Federal Reserve signals of potential rate cuts and growing institutional investments in altcoin ETFs, though analysts differ on the rally's length, estimating 1 to 2 months or a shorter 2 to 5 weeks amid optimistic yet cautious market vibes. Again, these predictions of 1 to 2 months or 2 to 5 weeks, almost everyone's going to get this wrong. I mean, everyone, even myself probably, everyone is wrong about this. Nobody's going to, be right on with this. However, we have been seeing a lot of people, like, for an example, James Nguyen. If you guys know James Nguyen, then you know that this guy is essentially a meme in the crypto, ecosystem at this point. But we are in phase 3, position accordingly. And what he's talking about is we're in the large cap phase of the market where Ethereum has been outperforming Bitcoin and large caps are going parabolic. This is not phase 3 yet. The reason why we're not in phase 3 yet is because Ethereum has yet to confirm a new all-time high on the weekly. If Ethereum closes above the 2021 all-time high on the weekly on this, we're 20 hours away from the weekly candle close if we're looking at it. If we start to get a close over the 2021 all-time highs, and I think that this chart is incorrect. Let me open up a new tab real quick. If we're looking at, Ethereum currently on the chart, our main all-time high close, what we want to close over on the weekly is 48.84. Okay. I know that we had a wick here. Yeah, this is great. However, we have yet to really confirm this all-time high being broken until we get a close over. A higher time frame close over that level will confirm a new all-time high on Ethereum. I understand that we already had a wick. People will say that it is a new all-time high, this, that, whatever. We want to see a close. The same exact reason why right now, currently, when it comes to the total 3, which yes is the altcoin market, everyone's getting very excited about the altcoin market right now because it is breaking over those all-time highs, essentially, of 2021. As you guys can see, this is 2021. We're now challenging the December highs as well. We have yet to see a weekly close. We are 21 hours roughly by the time that this video goes live. It's going to be less than 20 hours away from a weekly close. And if we're thinking about that, we could be less than 20 hours away from alt season being confirmed here. Okay? And if that's the case, if we are going to see alt season officially begin now, then we have essentially 3, potentially even 6 months ahead of solid price action. Now, to really look at this, I would say that we're following 2017. I've talked about this on multiple occasions. if we are following 2017's past, right? Let's go back to 2017. We have September being typically a bearish month. It has yet to be a bearish month this year. However, look at their August, right? August, 65%. We were negative in August, negative 6.5%. If we're following 2017, which, again, there could be some differences here, I do think that September still is pretty bullish for 2025. I think October, November, and December will be very bullish for 2025. Again, this is Bitcoin's returns. This isn't altcoins. This is Bitcoin. If we follow 2017, and if we start to see gains like this, Bitcoin could potentially reach $150,000 to $200,000. Ethereum can potentially reach $10,000. XRP can potentially reach $10+. And the rest of the altcoin market could have massive moves to the upside. And I'm not talking about 30% gains, 50% gains. No, I'm talking about like 500% plus gains depending on the market cap size of those altcoins. Now, I know what you're thinking. Nick, that sounds insane. 500% gains on altcoins in a very short amount of time? Yeah, it can 100% happen. Look at Dogecoin. Leading into the new year, we were trading at a low of like 3 cents. We finished off the 2021 alt season at 70, almost 4 cents. Now you might say, all right, well, Nick, Dogecoin was a completely different story. It had Elon Musk behind it. Sure, you can make that argument. What about Solana? Oh, well, Nick, it had VC money. So that's why it went from like a low of $1.50 to $260. All right, sure, we can make that argument as well. But what about BNB? BNB leading into the new year was trading at a low of like $35. It hit a high of $690. Oh, well, Nick, it's tied back to like one of the largest, crypto exchanges out there, and there's a lot of manipulation. All right, fine. But what about ADA? ADA going into the new year, trading at a low of like 16, almost 17 cents, hit $3.10 from 17 cents. I mean, guys, these gains were across the board. It wasn't just ADA. It wasn't just Solana. It wasn't just BNB. It wasn't just Dogecoin. The entire altcoin market will go absolutely insane. We will see 500, 300, even sometimes 1,000+% gains in a very short amount of time. I know that it sounds insane. I understand how it can come off. Oh, I'm just being sold on this, big hype phase of the cycle. No, guys, it's not about hype. It's about being realistic. This is the best part of the cycle. Alt season is the part of the cycle that we wait patiently for because we get paid the most during that time in the market. So if we're thinking about this is why I'm focused on October, November, and December. September, I still think is going to be very, very bullish. However, I think going into October, we will be leading into that phase 3 of the cycle. We still have to get confirmation on the weekly. I'm going to be updating you guys tomorrow on this as well, because again, we're less than like 20 hours away. By the time that this video goes live, right, we'll be less than 20 hours away from that weekly candle close. It's going to be a very important one. XRP is starting to bounce back as well. We just need to be cautious because if we do fail to close above these levels, we could still have a potential pullback in the altcoin market before we have that big breakout. So this is why we watch for this, but it's a very exciting time in crypto. I mean, the FOMC meeting is coming up. It's almost here. So we definitely have to lock in here. We have to be very, very focused. We cannot make any mistakes. Do not get impulsive. Do not get shaken out. Do not, jump into all these other projects because they're pumping. Do not get FOMO. Just lock in, sit patiently, and wait for the gains to hit. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this is Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.